Thank you both very much indeed. Well, coming up later in the programme, we'll discuss how to recognise the symptoms of sepsis after the Conservative MP Craig McKinley told the story of his battle with a deadly infection which led to his arms and feet being amputated. Now, tomorrow, the former boss of the Post Office, Paula Vennells, is giving evidence at the public inquiry into the Horizon IT scandal, which has brought to many people's attention in the ITV drama Mr Bates versus the Post Office.
Good to see you.
Thank you very much.
Well, just one thing, this Horizon...
Works as it should. Thank you.
Well, our political editor, Nick Watt, is here. Nick Watt, more evidence has come tonight, which I want to come to in a minute, but just how critical a day is this tomorrow?
Yeah, so obviously Paula Vennells is going to start giving evidence to that Post Office Horizon inquiry tomorrow. And on the eve of that, we have what one former cabinet minister has described as a smoking gun. That is an email that shows over a decade ago, Paula Vennells knew there was something wrong with the Horizon computer system. And of course, it was glitches in that system that falsely gave the impression that sub-postmasters and sub-postmistresses were pocketing thousands of pounds, and many were, of course, wrongly convicted. So, ITV News today, they revealed that Ron Warmington, who was one of the Second Sight investigators, called in by the Post Office to investigate this, made contact with Paula Vennells in October 2013. He had a phone call with her, and then he sent her an email with 8 examples of postmasters who'd sent in mediation applications with evidence to show that they'd faced false allegations. This is what he wrote in this email, as promised in today's call. I had a phone call. Here are 8 examples of the incoming applications. I've selected those that are more clearly expressed than most of the others that we've been receiving. So Paula Vennells, she looks at that email, she looks at the 8 cases, and then later that day at 8:50, here we are, an email she sent, it's on the inquiry website, to 3 of her colleagues. She says, "Dear all, I'm not sure who else I want to read these yet, but certainly the 3 of you. They make disturbing reading. I couldn't make sense of the spreadsheet, but the individual submissions are sufficient to get a steer on what we are dealing with. We have," she said, "to keep it in perspective, of course. But even in perspective, they are challenging from all sorts of angles." And then she says, "We need to show we are taking this very seriously." Now, that email, as I said, is on the inquiry website. A slightly different version of that email was revealed today by ITV News, and it also released the telephoto recording of that conversation she had with Ron Warmington. Now, after all that, this is what Nadhim Zahawi, the former Chancellor, told ITV News. "I think the email and the tape will come to be seen as the smoking gun that is the cover-up that has taken place at the Post Office." Now, the reason why he feels so strongly about this is he was a member of the Business Select Committee that heard from Paula Vennells in 2015 when she said that the Post Office had found no evidence of any miscarriages of justice. Now, Mr Zahawi played himself in the ITV drama, and one of the main sub-postmasters in that drama was Lee Castleton, and he was one of the 8 whose cases was brought to the attention of Paula Vennells in October 2013.
Thank you very much, Lucy. We're going to come back to you later in the programme. Well, I'm joined by the Conservative peer, Lord Arbuthnot, who first learned of the issues with the Horizon system from the postmasters in his constituency, including Joe Hamilton. He's a veteran campaigner on the issue and is a member of the Horizon Compensation Advisory Board. Thank you so much for joining us, Lord Arbuthnot. Lord Arbuthnot, what do you make of this clear 2013 October emails, correspondence, then what was said in 2015 by Paula Vennells?
It's a very striking email, and I cannot reconcile her response to that email and her receiving that email with what she said in front of the Select Committee. I think that is something that she's going to have great difficulty in dealing with. But she's got 3 days of evidence coming up, and we'll see how she does it. I don't know. I don't understand how she can reconcile them.
Well, tell me, what do you want to hear from Paula Vennells over the next 3 days?
Well, there are lots of individual questions, things like, when did she first know that there was remote access to the sub-postmasters' accounts? So the sub-postmasters didn't know what was going on in their own computer system, so they could hardly be blamed for faults in those accounts. When did she receive the Clark advice, the legal opinion, which said that Fujitsu evidence was completely unreliable? That sort of thing.
Of course, they ran the IT system.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Why did she spend more than £100 million on defending the indefensible in the Bates litigation? What did she tell the government about all of this? What instructions did she receive from the government? I mean, those are the sorts of individual questions that will come up. But possibly the thing that the sub-postmasters most want to hear, having heard so many people saying, I don't recall, I don't remember, it was somebody else's fault. Will she take responsibility for the awful story that happened and the awful things that were done to these sub-postmasters?
You said when we interviewed in the past on Newsnight that Paula Vennells had lied to you. Are you hoping for the truth about that as well?
Well, that would be nice. Do I hope for it? I would like to see it. But I do think she lied to me. And I think she concealed things from the MPs, as well as, of course, from the more important people, the sub-postmasters. And it's clear that she was aware that there was false evidence given in prosecutions, which she never made any attempt to put right.
Specifically, what do you think and what do you know that she lied to you about?
Well, she told me that the Horizon system was robust. She said that the Horizon system had been upheld in every court case where it had been questioned. She said that there were no issues with Horizon, despite the many, many bugs of which she was aware. And she told me that there was no possibility of altering the sub-postmasters' accounts without their knowledge. All of those things were untrue, and she knew they were untrue.
Now, sorry,
but I said in a debate in the House of Commons that we had had the word of the post office broken to us so many times that it was bewildering.
what I want to finish by asking you is, yesterday Rishi Sunak talked, in terms of the infected blood scandal, about the shame of the state. And I wonder if you think that this is more evidence or another aspect of shame of the state.
Yes, clearly. This was a government organisation owned by the government, directed by the government. Paula Vennells was appointed by the government, and the government let the sub-postmasters be falsely accused and falsely convicted, and then did nothing about it. Yes, it is a moment of complete shame, alongside the blood scandal, which is absolutely appalling.
Lord Arbuthnot, thank you very much for joining us. Well, tomorrow we expect the news that inflation has finally dropped to 2%, the Bank of England's target, or at least very close to that figure.